I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very complicated. That's why I pay 13% of my income in this state every year to people who I assumed were working on things like this.
We have a new thing in LA called follow home robberies, where gang members stake out nice restaurants and then follow home the people who leave in expensive cars and force their way into their houses. That's why Paris Hilton now drives a 2009 PT Cruiser and eats at Sbarro.
Bill Maher storms back on the warpath, torching Gavin Newsom and pinning California's decay on his style of leadership. This time, Karen Bass catches heat too. Maher isn't whining. He's conducting an autopsy, carving through policies and political theater that turned the Golden State into a cautionary tale. It's savage, it's hilarious, and it shows no mercy. Buckle up, hit subscribe, and dive straight in with zero apologies and no filters. Now,
the LA City Council voted that every homeless tent had to be removed from dozens of locations, yet every freeway overpass still looks like history's saddest Coachella. The homeless are both preyed upon and, frankly, a concern that they will do God knows what. You go out for a run in your neighborhood and you have to wonder whether that guy eyeing you on the corner is going to be this guy or this guy.
Ma opens with a blistering attack on the exploding homelessness crisis, choking Los Angeles and other major California cities. He zeroes in on the contradiction. City councils, including LA, vote to clear encampments from public streets, yet the problem looks worse every day. Tents vanish from one block only to reappear on the next. Ma asks the obvious, uncomfortable question: if these policies are working, why do the numbers keep climbing? That's when Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass move center stage. Critics argue Newsom's homelessness strategy relies on massive spending, slick slogans, and non-stop press conferences while producing painfully thin results. Billions pour into programs with little oversight as everyday Californians watch their neighborhoods slide backward. Ma's frustration mirrors residents trapped between compassion and chaos. For him, good intentions are meaningless when conditions keep declining, and California's leaders keep dodging accountability instead of delivering real solutions.
A day doesn't go by where you can't find video of the latest smash and grab robbery, where thieves in broad daylight just smash the front windows of ritzy stores and take all the jewelry they can carry. They went to Jared.
Beyond homelessness, Ma zeroes in on another spiraling crisis: rising crime and rampant theft swallowing California's biggest cities. Critics argue this didn't happen overnight and say recent policy choices poured fuel on the fire. Ma claims the state now signals a posture that looks soft on crime, putting offender comfort ahead of public safety. Thieves walk out of stores with armfuls of merchandise. Confident consequences are minimal, while repeat offenders cycle through the system with little more than symbolic punishment. Ma mocks the idea that lighter penalties deter crime, arguing they've done the opposite and supercharged it. Stores are closing, communities feel less safe, and law-abiding Californians pay the price. In Ma's telling, compassion without enforcement creates a climate where chaos is free to grow. Order collapses fast when leaders confuse leniency with justice and refuse to face consequences head-on.
And when did they legalize shoplifting? There used to be shame in shoplifting, or at least some skill. Now criminals just brazenly walk out of Walgreens, again in broad daylight, with a trash bag full of aisle 3, while the security guard just watches. They have to keep even the most mundane products all caged up. CVS isn't a store, it's a zoo for teeth whitening strips.
Ma traces this shift to California's choice to downgrade theft under $1,000 from felonies to misdemeanors. The stated aim was easing prison overcrowding and focusing resources on violent crime. But Ma argues the fallout is impossible to miss. Offenders quickly learned that the penalties were minor and started gaming the system, brazenly looting major retailers with little fear of real consequences. Videos of open, unapologetic shoplifting flooded online, locking in the perception that enforcement had been effectively neutered. Retailers responded by going into lockdown, placing everyday items like toothpaste, laundry detergent, and even basic food behind glass. Ordinary shoppers now press call buttons and wait just to buy necessities. To Ma, this isn't meaningful criminal justice reform. It's proof of a broken policy, where law-abiding citizens shoulder the hassle while repeat offenders operate with near total freedom.
In the last few years has seen 11 Walgreens and 6 CVS stores just give up and close because that town seems simply beyond law, which is heartbreaking because I, like so many people, love that city, and I don't think it's corny to admit, yes, I left my heart in San Francisco. Also my wallet and iPhone.
Maher didn't stop at homelessness. He turned to the everyday security fears Californians now live with, especially around their cars and personal property. He painted a scene residents recognize instantly. You step away for a moment, return to your car, and whatever you left inside is gone. Maher says that wasn't always normal, but in recent years, auto thefts and smash-and-grab break-ins have spiked, making even routine errands feel risky. Los Angeles has long recorded tens of thousands of vehicle thefts and thefts from cars each year, cementing its status as one of California's burglary hotspots. Meanwhile, San Francisco, despite recent police reports showing declines, was for years notorious for rampant car break-ins and property crime that fueled constant anxiety. Maher cites these numbers not to erase nuance, but to underscore how many Californians feel stuck between rising crime and weak, detached responses from Sacramento and local city halls.
Bay Area citizens have been complaining in recent years about all the human feces in the streets, but now the streets are full of something else. They call it San Francisco snow. It's glass, piles and piles of shattered glass everywhere from car windows being smashed. It's so routine to have this happen to any parked car that people purposefully leave the windows down and the glove compartment open so thieves can see there's nothing of value. Or they leave a note on the car politely assuring the thief that there's nothing worth stealing and please don't break the windows.
That's daily life in parts of the Bay Area, where things have grown so absurd that some drivers now leave handwritten notes telling would-be thieves there's nothing worth stealing inside. It's a last-ditch attempt to avoid another smashed window. Maher argues this isn't clever problem-solving. It's pure public frustration spilling out as people adapt to conditions they believe are only getting worse. Law-abiding residents are being forced to accommodate crime instead of expecting the government to stop it. In some neighborhoods, drivers even leave windows slightly cracked, not from carelessness, but exhaustion. They're worn down from endlessly replacing broken glass and paying the price for policies they never chose. Maher says this is what happens when leadership drifts from reality, and laws are passed without considering real-world consequences. When people no longer feel protected, trust in institutions collapses, and survival tactics replace confidence. At that point, the system looks overwhelmed, reactive, and incapable of meeting the scale of the crisis.
What is so disturbing here is not just that there's more crime and mayhem, it's the audacity of it all. Like there's no lines anymore that can't be crossed. Like don't walk on a stage during a live show. Or don't Mike Tyson.
Maher warns California may be approaching a dangerous tipping point, a moment when people start believing there's no longer a line they can't cross because consequences feel weak or non-existent. When laws go unenforced, behavior shifts exactly as expected. What once felt unthinkable is now routine, done in broad daylight and often caught on camera with little fear of punishment. For everyday Californians, this creates a constant blend of anger and helplessness. They pay taxes, follow the law, and play by the rules, yet they're the ones inconvenienced, endangered, and ignored. Meanwhile, those pushing boundaries feel emboldened, confident the system won't hold them accountable. Maher frames this not as a moral failure of the public, but as a breakdown of leadership. When government signals enforcement is optional, respect for the law erodes. And once that erosion sets in, restoring order is far harder than stopping the collapse early.
It's also, yes, undeniably true that LA is built in a stupid place to build a city. But when it's not on fire, it's really quite lovely. And it's my home. And stupid as its origin may be, it's not going anywhere. Axios ran a story on how getting the water out of the hydrants in Pacific Palisades was more complicated than it seems. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very complicated. That's why I pay 13% of my income in this state every year to people who I assumed were working on things like this.
Maher also targets what he views as a glaring gap between what Californians pay and what they get back. California ranks among the highest taxed states in the country, Yet Ma argues the results are deeply underwhelming. With that kind of revenue flowing into state coffers, basic services should run efficiently. Too often, they don't. He points to the state's ongoing wildfire battles. As a clear example, year after year, fires tear through familiar, heavily populated areas while residents watch the same breakdowns repeat. Slow responses, poor preparation, and officials scrambling only after destruction hits. To Ma, this isn't just about natural disasters. It's about mismanagement. He asks how a state swimming in tax dollars can still appear so unprepared, leaving taxpayers feeling they're funding a system that consistently fails when it matters most.
When asked why so many of the hydrants in the Palisades ran out of water, Governor Newsom said the local folks are trying to figure that out. Yeah, you got to do that before the fire. At least in the Palisades, the hydrants were still there. 300 other ones around the city are just gone, stolen for parts. One of the 3 reservoirs for the Palisades was offline at the one time of year when it was most needed. LA's Mayor Karen Bass, the Nero of American politics, was fiddling in Ghana while the city burned and later placed the blame on 8 months of negligible rain and winds that have not been seen in LA in at least 14 years. Yeah, that's not that long a time. Maybe look in the history books to see how our ancestors handled it back in 2011.
What finally pushes Ma, along with countless Californians, over the edge is the relentless wildfire crisis. Year after year, massive fires destroy homes, livelihoods, and neighborhoods. And year after year, Ma says leaders like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass fail to learn anything or take real action. Warnings are ignored, preparation falls short, and explanations come only after the damage is done. Ma's anger targets leadership, not nature. Controlled burns, forest management, and infrastructure upgrades resurface after every fire. Yet little changes before the next blaze. He warns another disaster with the same recycled excuses is all but inevitable. Maher's critique of California is sharp and earned. From Los Angeles to the Bay Area, residents face worsening problems every year. Homelessness spirals as policies fail to address root causes. Crime and theft surge, with weak enforcement forcing stores to lock goods and citizens to improvise to protect what's theirs. Car break-ins have become routine, with notes on vehicles or cracked windows replacing security. Meanwhile, fires expose slow responses and repeated missteps, leaving lives and property at risk. Ma's point is blunt. Californians pay some of the highest taxes in the nation, yet to often get a state that fails to protect or serve them. The anger and helplessness are real, and Ma captures it all. Sharp, unapologetic, impossible to ignore. That's it for today's video. Hit like, subscribe for more, and drop a ripple if you're subscribed. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.